Hey everybody, this is Trader Steve. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here on the coast in North Carolina. Very sunny, very humid day. Probably go hit some golf balls here shortly after this video. Now we're going to start off with the indexes. You know, we've had a big straight up vertical V run from the Trump tariff lows. And we've got earnings season coming up, so we're going to be looking for some trades on earnings. I very rarely buy options or stock before earnings, very rarely, because you know it can end up real bad for you if it goes down. So implied volatility is usually quite high before the company reports. As soon as they report, the volatility just pours out of that stock. And that's the time when options get cheap, and that's when I move in. And we're going to be looking for gap up runners, and then we're going to look for the old gap and crap, which means they gap down and probably will have a further downside to take. And so we'll be looking as things, all these companies report, and just waiting for these gaps to occur. So we're going to start off with the index, the triple Qs. As you see, we've broken out. This line right here was the prior high before Trump did the tariff thing. Now we're up, and we're kind of, you know, got an inside weekly candle, inside day here, weekly. So the rule is if it breaks out, follow the trend up. If it breaks down, follow the trend down. We'll see what happens, but this week coming up, we have the financial starting earnings season, and you know I got a couple of them here on the board that we'll go through. But right now, we're just kind of going sideways for the last couple of weeks. It's not a whole lot to it. Here's the SPY. Looks real identical to the QQQ, and the Russell. You know, still haven't made it back up to the highs. It's got a bunch of stocks in it that are, you know, have run, but it's still the weaker up and coming stocks. We'll see which ones actually make it through what's coming up. Now here's the diamonds. You know, I think Caterpillar, as I said last, was the last industrial really in there. It's got financials and just other consumer stocks in it, but it's had a decent run the last couple weeks. But we now have a red inside candle day. We'll see what happens. I think everything's going to be dependent on the Trump tariff deal that's supposed to have conclusion here in August, and we'll see. And we also have earnings, and if companies are real positive, they start talking things up, then we will continue higher. Now we're going to go look at the transports. They had a pretty good 3 weeks. They recovered. They were worrying me back here in June. They weren't participating in the rally. And here's the TLT. Interest rates, you know, rolled back over. Now we got about 4.6% on the 20-year Treasury. And we'll see if this thing continues down and interest rates keep increasing. The Dixie, you know, it's got to bounce, but the trend is down in the dollar. It's going to just be a slow, you know, grind down. So get ready for that. And that's going to be inflationary for everything that we import. Now gold's still strong. It's just kind of chopping sideways on the weekly. I'm kind of hoping that gold comes back towards this red line right here, because that red line puts me back kind of in the middle of the trend, and that's when I want to buy up some the triple levered nugget on the gold miners. But I'm just waiting. It hadn't really come my way. It's just kind of teasing me, so we'll see what happens. Now here's the semi index. It's broken out to new highs too. That's your NVDAs and all the chip stocks building out these data centers. Now here's Apple. Apple is a worrisome stock, as it got a pop here the week before, but now we're back, you know, a little red candle here, and the the news is talking poorly about Tim Apple. Some think he should resign, get fired. We'll see what happens, but I think Apple's got some problems. And here's this weird little red doji candle here. And we'll see how that manifests itself next week. Let's see, they report the end of July. So that's when we're going to get the story on Apple. Bitcoin, with the new legislations that's passed, it's just off to the races. Institutions are buying it and companies are buying it and trying to do the MicroStrategy thing. They don't have a great business, so you buy a bunch of Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up, their stock goes up. And not a good recipe, but I trade them, and I'm not gonna miss out on the trade just because I don't really believe in the concept. But oh well, we'll see how this ends up. Now coin, all the stable coin and the new legislation, it has just been a rocket ship. It just rocketed middle of June, and for the people that were in that stock, good for you. Good for you. Wonderful. MicroStrategy, it's finally starting to catch a bid with, Bitcoin being on fire. It's back up towards the top, prior highs. And here's Novo Nordisk. I bought some of this thinking it was going to keep going up. I still think it's going to get back up to the, somewhere up here, 100, 110. But the bears are on it right now, and I sold some premium when on the 4-hour stock, on the, let's see here, I'll take you to it. When it popped out of the Bollinger Band here, I sold some premium, bought some puts, made a little bit of money here. There was a double. And I'm looking for buying more of this. I'm not sure if this is a bear flag, this thing right here. Well, that wasn't very good, but it may be. There has been I guess these are the shorts that are playing with it, but the last couple weeks there's been quite a large volume popping up in the options, just 4 or 5 points out of the money, and we got 13,000 plus here in June. They bought them just, right on the bottom, like they were waiting for the article that came out on Barron's. These guys must be pumping Barron's and MT Newswire, all the negative news stories that those companies can print. And but the surprise is that they didn't close these. These were triples here, folks, these options. And they didn't close the position down, so I'm kind of waiting to see if there's something worse coming out here. And if there is, that's all right. I'll just sell some premium, buy some puts, and try to ride down and mitigate that. But I think this stock has got further to go on the upside eventually, as soon as the short bear raid here is over with. Now I'm going to go back to the chart and get back on the weekly. This is a really funny thing. It's bear flag, something's going on. But I know people that have taken Wegovy. They liked it better than, what is it, Zepbound or whatever, or the other one that Lilly makes, because the article in Barron's was talking about that Lilly had the better product, but CVS just dumped Lilly and went with the Novo product. So the people I've talked to, the side effects and whatnot were less than the Lilly product. And yet the Barron's article talked about it the other way around. But, there's plenty of fat people with, what is it, type 1 diabetes, that this is kind of like a miracle drug for them, because the people I know that were having to shoot insulin no longer take insulin. They've lost weight. There are side effects. I won't get into those, but it has been a really good thing for them. And there's plenty of people in America that could use it, believe me. Plenty of them. And here's Oxy. I got 1,000 shares of this, and I'm going to get called out. I sold premium. I sold the 46 calls, and it looks like I'm going to probably take it on the chin. I may have to buy them back. I don't know. I don't care if they take it, or I'll just see what Friday looks like. But hopefully I'm going to be able to, if I get called out, I'll buy the stock back cheaper. And I'm just going to do income generation by selling puts, buying calls, that sort of thing. And just, I think this is a range bound stock. It's been in a downtrend since April of 24. And you can make some pretty good money on these, week to week 4 or 5 point moves. So it is on my radar to just start printing money with this one. It'll give me something to do waiting for the tech stocks to back up. So now we're going on to Tesla. Tesla's got issues, kind of looks like Apple, doesn't it? And I think they're reporting earnings here on the 23rd of July. They'll probably be terrible, and they're probably going to get a pass. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gaps up and the news is not as bad as everyone thinks it's going to be. But I think Tesla's probably in for a rough ride. I don't think that, he's going to come out with a robot thing, and robo-taxis just don't interest me. I just, all his little test areas are small little squares that he kind of cordons off with his GPS thing. And, you've seen things on the internet where the car's driving from the factory to the owner. Well, that's easily done. But, the Chinese are eating his lunch with electric cars. I don't think anyone will ever have a robot like we think of in Isaac Asimov novels. Robot Daniel that looks like a human, does things. And I did see on the internet where they had a robot that picked up a bag of garbage and put it in the trash. And I'm sure for $1 million, you can get a damn robot to take your garbage out too, if he doesn't fall down the stairs. But I also saw on the internet, they had a marathon race in China, and they had some robots running it. Some fell down and kept kicking the cement, but some actually made it. I mean, that was impressive. But they look like Transformers, that's for sure. But there will be progress on that. But I don't think the robot thing's going to really do much for Tesla. They're a car company, and robo-taxis, I'm sorry, but in certain parts of some of these towns are going to put them. Somebody's going to steal them, and they'll be stripped so fast. But maybe just running them around in the really rich, nice, gentle neighborhoods will be the thing, where it never snows and the weather's always great. And here's NUGT. I've been waiting for this to come back down here. I got some alarms, and I'm going to be loading the boat. I think inflation's going to start being a problem this fall. I thought it would come sooner, but, we'll see. And then we have to wonder about the information the government's going to be putting out. Trump has put cronies in all the departments, and I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers from the government start getting skewed to the downside on inflation. But I can tell it's already hitting. You go to Walmart, things are more expensive than they used to be. But we'll see. It's going to come, and they can hide it for a little while, but you can't hide it forever. And here's NVDA, our AI poster child, breaking out to new highs. It reports, let's see, it's a late reporter. It's towards the end of August. But we got a lot of earnings that are going to start here. And like I said, we're going to be buying the gap up runners and the gap and crap losers. And that's going to be the next month trades here. And AMD, this is the weekly chart. And I pointed out this last week that this is, if you want to buy a stock and hold it and hope it gets back up to the highs, and that this AI data center and chip demand stays strong for, maybe a year, 2 more years. If it gets back up here to the prior highs, 200, you'll do very well. And hopefully it'll do it in a short amount of time. It's breaking the Bollinger Band on the weekly. Had a really good week. One of the few stocks that actually moved last week. Everything else is kind of, muted. And here's JP. Deregulation's coming, and when deregulation of the banks occurs 3 or 4 years after that, that means financial crisis is in the picture. The S&Ls, I remember that. And then the 07 and 08 financial crisis, I remember that. Hell, I was a financial therapist with my clients there, and the ones that filed bankruptcy first came out better than the ones that tried to pay it off. But I think this is what they're after. The banks are run, but now the bill's out, deregulation's in. Now they have to put up or shut up. And so earnings is going to be the telltale sign. And in the next few earnings cycles, if things don't really improve in the earnings and whatnot, then these stocks will come back to earth. So JP's, Tuesday, the 15th? Yeah, before the market. And we'll probably have a couple other banks that I don't have the screen here. And Goldman Sachs, I think, reports next week also. So let me put Goldman on there. And Goldman and Slacks, yep, they report on the 16th. That's Wednesday, I believe. And they've got a big red candle here. So, it's buy the news. Buy the rumor, I guess, and sell the news. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe these are going to come back down to the middle of the channel here, somewhere down in here. We'll see what happens. But that's it for now. I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend and a great trading week, and we'll see what earnings season brings us. And like I said, I'm going to be working Occidental and playing Novo, and I got my eye on Soxel. And waiting for that to get in a good position so I can make some money on that one. This is Trader Steve saying see you later, take care, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Talk to you later.